I'm just getting ready to fight. I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to fight Georgie. I'm going to get the snot beat out of me. And he comes up to me. He's ready to say something. And I just hand him my beer. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Like, no hard feelings. But I'm telling you, didn't do that again. I did not do that ever again. I apologize to him. Chris, if you're listening, man, I really apologize for that. And, you just, in the back of your mind as a goalie, you don't go there because it can go past the line where it interferes with your focus. And look, Bob, when I watch Bob play right now, I'm very impressed with how quickly he sets his feet and how active he gets out of his crease. Like, we're talking about the reverse there from Stu coming out slow. I would advise Stu, don't use that move, buddy. Honestly, just stay on your feet the whole time. Mm-hmm. And whereas with Bob, I'm watching him force out, set his feet in the white paint and be solid. And he's forcing a lot of shots wide because of it. And he's so big. Like, you see that save right there? I know that not everybody can see it, but it's a save that Bob misses with his glove, but because he's out so far, it hits him in the shoulder. And that's what I've seen a lot of. He doesn't have to be perfect, guys. He doesn't have to be perfect because he's so active in his crease and he's such a strong skater that if you were looking at the full scope of skaters and you were going to rank them in the NHL, Bob's right there with Dustin Wolf, whereas Stu Skinner's, he's really at the lower end of the low end. And I think that he needs to back up to be successful. And that's why he needs a reset.
Are you a Pickard guy at all? Do you have a thought? I know he doesn't play a ton of hockey. Do you have an opinion on him one way or the other as a goaltender?
Sorry, Borny, cut out my ear thing. Can you say it one more time?
Just Pickard. Are you a Pickard guy? Do you have a thought on him one way or the other?
Pickard is a battler. I mean, it's, you know what, Borny? He's Billy Smith is what he is. He is Billy Smith, modern day. He's going to go in there and grind. It's not going to be pretty. Sometimes when the goals go in, they don't look pretty. But if you need somebody to go in there and give you that moral boost, like just a breath of fresh air, just go in there and grind. And I think everybody would rally around it. You saw it in the LA series.
So did that window, that stretch help potentially make a call for the next game?
Yeah, you've got 2 days to figure it here. And I think, again, if you get the sense from Stu, and you know him better than anybody if you're his coach and coaching staff, if you get the sense that he needs just to let this thing breathe until we get back to Edmonton, all day long you're confident with a guy that's gone 6-0 for you in Pickard. And you wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Pickard. So if he's ready and he's healthy, which it appears he is, let him go in there and just grind. And again, I'd go with him because of just the overall sense of team chemistry and belief a little bit that way.
Are you good to go away from the series at all?
Yep.
Is that all right? Unrestricted free agency is a few weeks away. Last year we talked about, you thought Stolarz was one of the guys that was a good buy low. A guy that had upside and could do it. You also pinpointed Kevin Lankinen before Kevin Lankinen had a good season. Is there anyone on your mind out there?
Yeah, you're good, apparently.
Who's next? Who's the next guy to pop? You got any UFA goalies out there?
You know what?
Or just guys who are under contract.
No, but it's funny. No, I looked at it. I looked at it today, and this is the thinnest year we've seen in a really long time. So I would say that the best performing goalie that you might need in something like a 1A is actually Jake Allen. Mm-hmm. Jake Allen would be the guy that you'd bring in to support. Look, hey, if you had Jake Allen in Edmonton's net right now, Borny, they'd be in a better position.
Yeah.
All right. That's the type of situation
depressing.
You put Jake Allen in. It's true, though. Yeah. It's true. From January 1st, Jake was the fourth best performing goalie in overall expected saves. So, you're not getting somebody that's hurting, and I think he's still 34 years old. He's not over the hump. Yeah. And I think he'd come in at a price point that a team like Edmonton, don't forget, Edmonton's not supposed to have Stu Skinner as their number one right now. It's supposed to be Jack Campbell. He should be in year 3, I think, of his contract. It's almost unfair to pile on Stu Skinner.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at other goalies around the league that can come in and fill a void where you're not going to spend top dollar, Alex Line would be another option, or Chris Drieger. Jonas Johansson, I like a lot in Tampa Bay, but there is not a blue chip find that you can really pull in like we've seen in the last couple of years.
What
I
about
think that
Dan Vladar?
No.
No. What about Anton Forsberg? My last one.
No.
Okay.
Forsberg I've liked over the years. I have, but I don't think he's there. You know who I think is
Drieger?
sneaky, Borny? You know who I think
Yeah,
is
you said that.
sneaky? Jet Greaves is to me, he's like, he's right there with Dustin Wolf. Like, I think this kid's unreal. I think he's great. I think Jet Greaves, if he's as good as I think he is, and Columbus thinks possibly he is, maybe it's Elvis Merzlikins that somebody's willing to be able to capture from Columbus. And I say that with a little bit of reservation. You need a very good goalie coach that can teach him how to manage depth and odd man rushes and rush play altogether. Because the only guy that's worse off the rush than Stu Skinner over the last 3 years is Merzlikins, but he's very strong in all of the other areas. So when you can look at a goalie, maybe you're a team that doesn't give up an awful lot off the rush, that helps. But then you can just help him piece together his rush game and his reads. I don't think rush is that difficult to learn. You just have to understand, if you're Elvis Merzlikins, that you don't have to over-challenge the shot the way that he does, and that's why he's so susceptible to the East-West stuff.
Have we talked to Valley since DeBoer has been fired in Dallas?
No.
So was this just a foregone conclusion that Ottinger and Peter DeBoer could no longer be in harmony moving forward here for you?
Yeah, I got a couple calls after that one. Thanks for the exposure on that one, boys.
Yeah.
I had my opinions on it, and, I think that's why you guys bring me on here. I just knew it was going to happen. Like, I knew. As soon as Pete said that, I said in my head, I was like, fired. That's just the way, I just think that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and he went overboard on it. Maybe he wishes to, relinquish a few of the comments. But I never saw that working. You know what I thought would have happened, Kipper? If they don't make a change there, whether they keep DeBoer and seemingly move on from Ottinger, if DeBoer started that season, he wouldn't have made it to Christmas. It just never works. It was like Jacob Trouba starting the season for the Rangers this year when he was almost should have been traded over the summer. It just never works.
So just to follow up, my colleague here, JB, wrote a raving article on sportsnet.ca that people should go revisit, and it just basically talks about how soft the players are today and that they can't take anything remotely, even as critical as it came across from DeBoer. And I know the coaches union loved his article. I'm not sure about the rest of the players in the league, but there's something to be said about JB's article here, Valley.
I don't disagree with what I'm sure it's a great article, and I'm sure I would agree with all of it, except I don't believe these athletes nowadays have the thick skin that you two guys had, or that I had.
That's it.
Coaches used to say to me, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, hey, I certainly would.
Yeah, we would believe it.
Same era, pal. It's not that it was fun, but it didn't have to be a relationship ruiner either. It felt like, hey, shouldn't have said that. Let's talk about it. Figure it out.
Hey, JB, I'm on the ice with these kids, like college kids, USHL kids, OHL kids, every day right now. You wouldn't believe what I can't say to them, what I used to say to them 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's just different, man. They even talk back to me. I made this kid go down and back today. Because I said, like, hey, man, you missed the low blocker the last 3 shots. He goes, no, I didn't. I was like, what? Like, if you're going to talk back, at least be good. Down and back.
Hey, down and back. There it is.
Followed up with a why. Why do I need to go down and back?
Tell me more. Yeah. I don't agree with that.
What is, like, you hear the buzzwords from the coaches, holding the standard, hunting the standard, and culture.
Ugh,
you know what
business
really,
jargon.
You know what really, it's so annoying, right? But what it is really is, if I tell a goalie before the exercise begins that I need you to be like a lion in the Serengeti attacking that puck and getting it like you haven't eaten in 2 weeks. And then he lets a soft rebound